The easiest way to hoop the back of a hat is to hoop it flat. So I'm going to take our 12 centimeter round hoop and I'm going to find a surface that's about the width of my hoop. So I have a surface here that's about that width. I'm going to set my backing up here. I'm using a nice tearaway backing on the cap. And on a hat that's adjustable, I like to open it up. And I'm going to set the hat up here and pull it nice and smooth. Take the top part, get it lined up. Once I get it lined up, I get the hat nice and taut. Put that together. I now have a hat that's very tight and is ready to be sewn. You'll notice it's in upside down, which is the proper way so that when I go to the machine, I can put it on the machine and sew it. In order to hoop a hat, first we have to prepare the hat itself. We're going to start by removing the cardboard that's on the inside of the hat. This happens to be a structured cap. That's what this material here is. It's called buckram. The next thing we need to do is we need to get this surface to be as close to the surface of the cap gauge as possible. In order to do so, we need to flatten this out a little bit. This is a little too round. In order to do that, we simply take the bill and we flatten the bill out. And when we flatten the bill, that flattens this surface at the same time. The next thing we need to do is if we are going to sew on the front of the hat, we need to open up the sweatband from this seam to this seam. And then we let the rest of the sweatband fold down. If we're going to sew all the way from here all the way around to here, which is a 270-degree sew out, then we need to open up the sweatband from here and let it fold under, all the way around to here and let it fold back under. So that's the hat preparation. Now we also have to adjust the length of this strap, which is done here, and if we need more adjustment, can be done down here as well. We need to adjust that strap for the thickness of the material that the cap is made out of. Since we're working with a twill cap, I'm going to show you the technique that I use for adjusting this. We're going to start by removing the clips, and we're going to take either a small metric wrench or an adjustable wrench, and I'm going to break these nuts free. Now I want to loosen them to the point where if I pull on this, I can just get it to slide. You can see this is sliding if I force it. This is still a little too tight, so I'm going to loosen this just a little bit more. Okay, check it again. And if I slide that, that'll just slide. Okay. Now, I'm going to shorten this as short as that one will go. And this one I'm going to just match up down at the end here. I'm going to take the frame and I'm going to put it on the gauge. And I'm going to lock it in place. I'm going to take my prepared hat without any backing, and I'm going to set this up here. I'm going to put the sweatband underneath this piece of metal here called the bill stop. And I'm going to put this on here exactly the way I'm going to hoop it. Now I'm going to show you in just a moment exactly how we hoop this. So for now, I'm going to do it the same way. So now I'm going to grab the strap, pull it on either side of the bill, and here's the little catch. I need to put the end of the clasp in the catch. So I put that in there like that, and then I lift this halfway. Now you might have to work it a little bit, and what's happening is as I'm lifting up on this, I'm pulling that strap to the right length. Now that I've got it lifted so that it's horizontal, which is halfway, now I very carefully undo the strap, take the hat off, and now I'm going to tighten these nuts back up. Now this is adjusted for that type of hat. I'm going to put the cap frame back on the gauge and lock it back down. Now I'm going to grab a piece of backing material. If I'm only going to sew the front of the hat, I actually only need a piece of backing about this long from here to here. But if I'm going to sew from here all the way around to here, then I need a piece of backing about this long. And that's what I'm going to demonstrate here. So I take my piece of backing, and I like it when this rolls more. So I'm going to put it on the corner of the table, and I'm going to pull it down, and just like you would roll a ribbon, now that wants to curl. I take the backing and I put it underneath the bill stop. That's this piece of metal. Now, it's very important that you see what I'm doing on the left-hand side here. If you look at the strap, you will see where this, let me move the backing out of the way for a moment, where this cutback is, right here, and these teeth. We have to make sure that these teeth are catching the finished edge of the hat. And that's a very important little detail. So now let me put the backing back in place. And the backing has to go in that cutout as well. So now we take the hat, we put it up here, and the hat goes on the outside of everything. We open up the sweatband. We put the sweatband under the bill stop. And we open it up till it gets to this seam right here. And then it folds back under. And I like to leave my hats closed because I want to make sure that I can pull down on the hat like this. Now, I need to make sure the hat's in that cutout, which it is. Now I'm going to reach across with my opposite hand, pull the strap on either side of the bill, and pull it taut. Now, we need to make sure of a couple details. I want the finished edge of the hat an 1/8 inch inside those teeth, just like that. I want to make sure this corner is caught, and I want to make sure the finished edge of the hat is flush with the bottom of the strap, just like it is here. I want to make sure the strap is in these teeth, go in the seam where the bill and the rise meet all the way around the front of the hat. Now on the right side of the hat, I'm going to take my fingers and put them here and here to hold the strap down, because I'm going to grab the hat now, make sure that sweatband is out up to that seam, and I'm going to feed the strap with my left hand and feed the hat with my right hand until I get to this point. Now usually the backing material is in the way, so we move the backing material out of the way and we set the clasp in that catch again. Now I want to make sure the finished edge of the hat is an 1/8 inch inside these teeth. This corner needs to be perfectly caught and the strap is flush with the finished edge of the hat. Now I'm going to grab the hat from the bottom, not the backing material, and just give it a really good pull down to make sure it's nice and taut. I also want to make sure that the center seam is lined up with the center line here, which in this case it's not, it's a little off, so I'm going to move it over a little bit. And if you'll notice, I'm a little past it. The center seam is here, but the center line is there. There's a reason for that that you'll see in just a moment. So now I fix my edges again, make sure that they're nice and taut and smooth on both sides. And I'm going to push forward on the strap to make sure that the bill is tight up against the bill stop. Now watch the bill when I raise the clasp. When I raise this, you'll see the bill shift to the right a little bit, which it did. That's why we don't line up the center seam with that center line immediately, because if the strap is adjusted right, when you pull it tight, the hat's going to pull to the right just a little bit. The last part of this is to pull the sewing field nice and tight, and that's what the clips are used for. So we take our clips, and we always need to make it so that these handles go towards the center of the cap. Never this way where they're sticking out. They always need to point towards the center. So I like to be on the opposite side of the hat like this, and I put my thumbs inside the hat, and I pull straight down and get this hat really tight and really smooth, and then wrap around that bar and hold it there, and I put my clips on. One clip there, one clip there. And if we look now, we've got a wrinkle. And the reason for that is whenever you're doing this, you want to make sure that you don't pull in. When you pull, you need to make sure that you're pulling these sides perfectly straight down. Then you don't get that. We'll put our clips back on. And now, let's go to the other side. And you'll notice now, these sides are nice and smooth and tight, and this top part here, which is the main sewing field, is nice and tight. You can also see the outline of where the cap gauge is. That's usually a good indicator that you've pulled that hat tight enough. Now, the exception to this would be on a flex fit hat. On any type of a flex fit style where the material stretches, you're going to pull the hat taut, but you're not going to pull it as tight as you can. On a twill hat like this, you pull it as tight as you can to get that sewing field nice and tight. And that's what a properly hooped hat looks like.